There is no better cartoonist working in the medium of comics today than Jaime Hernandez. And he has put out another 5 out of 5 book. Stay tuned and watch this video until the end. And we're back. My name is Taylor. This is Taylor Talks Comics. Thank you for joining me. Please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below with any of your thoughts on Love and Rockets, Jaime Hernandez, or anything to do with comics. I respond to all comments, and I love talking comics. That's really hard to say. But yes, all those things help the YouTube algorithm put my video, my channel in front of people's eyeballs that don't know my channel exists. So what we have today is Life Drawing by Jaime Hernandez. This is the latest Fantagraphics release of Jaime Hernandez. It is a hardcover. It's beautiful. I'll go over that in a second. But this is collecting stories that were already serialized in Love and Rockets comic books. So if you're new to Love and Rockets, there's been 4 different volumes of Love and Rockets. There's been the original 50 issues, and then they went to like a comic book format. And then the 3rd series was called New Stories. It lasted 8 issues. They're kind of like trade paperbacks, a little bit thicker. They came out once a year. This collects material from issues 7 and 8 of that series, but then also most of the material is from the newer volume 4. It collects collects stories from issues 1 and 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 and 15. So a lot of current stuff. Issue 15 is the most recent issue of Love and Rockets. That's how recent this is. Now, don't be confused. I know there's some people feel like getting into Love and Rockets can be daunting because there are so many issues and the mythos is so large and vast. And these characters age in real time. So they've been going for 40 plus years with this magnificent series. So people can feel daunted by that. So I'm going to go over if this collection would be a good jumping on point or not. But as we dive in as well, all those things will be answered for you. So just want to show off the book first. Beautifully designed cover and package here. Only the best from Jaime Hernandez or the Hernandez brothers. And here's the back of the book. It does come in at $24.99 cover price. The opening end papers here. And then the back end papers are different, which is always lovely when they do that. Here's the title page. Now, this book was designed by Jaime Hernandez and C. Huang. I do want to credit him. He helped out on the design. And then here's the table of contents. This shows you all the stories that are collected in here. You can also see what I mentioned earlier, where some of these stories came from, which issues they came from. And so there are page numbers all throughout, and you can kind of follow that along if you'd like. Now, the main story here for Life Drawing is going through and following the character of Tonta, who's this character right here, who is of the sisters that are in the family, she's like the ugly one of the other, sisters. So she's kind of an outcast in her own family, kind of a doofus or buffoon at times, but she's lovable and loyal to her friends and family, and she's always just trying to find the best in the world. And as far as what you should read before this, so should you have read the entirety of the first 50 issues, in the next 20 issues, in the next 8 issues, yada, yada, yada? I don't think so. So if you're looking to find a good jumping on point for Love and Rockets or a Love and Rockets story, see what all the hype's about, I think this would be a great one. I'd say the only not required reading, but maybe would help you understanding some of these characters would be the previously released hardcover of Tonta, which I'll put a picture of on the screen so you can find that cover. If you can't find it available at your local comic book shop, I'm sure you can find it digitally online. It might even be on Hoopla if your library is attached to the Hoopla program, because I know a lot of Fantagraphics books are there. But that'll tell you a little bit of the backstory of Tonta and her sisters and the drama going on with her family, as far as like someone may or may not have killed their husband. Why is Tonta living with, you know, this sister, that sister kind of thing. And it'll help you along with that. Now, even not having read that, I think you'd be fine because they kind of fill in the gaps here as the characters go on. I think one of the beautiful things about Love and Rockets in general, both on Gilbert and Jaime Hernandez's sides of their storytelling, is that they feel like almost true soap operas in the fact that you can jump in at any point and kind of catch up as you go along. Like right away, things might seem confusing. So you're like, who's this character? Who are they talking about? You know, blah, blah, blah. But as you get deeper and deeper into the story, into the book, and get more intrigued by the story, those gaps will be filled in for you. And it's not unlike if you were to meet a super interesting new person in your life and they were to start to tell you stories of their life. They're not going to go chronologically, you know, well, I was born on this day, and then when I was 1 year old, I did this. And they're going to tell you pieces and things like, oh, when I was, 35, I did this, or when I was 10, I did this, or so you're going to be going back and forth anyways in a real true life story. So it's kind of like you're going into these stories, if you're approaching it that way, as if you're just trying to pick up the pieces of this new person you met. Now here's one of Tonta's sisters. You can see that she is very much better looking than Tonta herself. And that causes issues within their own right. So if you're a longtime fan of Love and Rockets, like me, the most I've read of Love and Rockets is the first 50 issues. I have the box set. I read it. I loved it. Other than that, I used to have the paperback omnibuses. There's like 15 of those so far, I think. I've since sold those off because I'm trying to put together a collection of all the single issues at this point. So most of my reading was in those first 50 issues. And like I said earlier in my preamble, all these characters have aged in real time. So the earliest issues of Love and Rockets, you'll see, especially here, you'll have Maggie as one of the main characters of Jaime's Locas stories. Now, she has aged in real time, like I said. So that's been 40 years ago that she was created, and she was a teenager. And now she is middle-aged and living with Ray. If we have the box set of Love and Rockets, the spine image is Maggie and Ray here. So you can see they've very much aged. And I think that's such an intriguing thing to see how they go about, because there's such rich characters that Jaime has created. Like there's such just like a depth to these characters that they feel real to you, and everything makes sense. Like when you read about Maggie and Ray's younger stories, and then you jump into this story where they're older, you can be like, yeah, I can see them turning out that way based on people you know around your real life. Now, the artwork throughout this book is absolutely magnificent. Like I said in the intro, I don't know if there's a cartoonist working today that is better than Jaime Hernandez, especially with his figure drawing, with his line work, with his ability to use the true essence of cartooning. His lettering is still magnificent. Just absolutely brilliant. The storytelling, the pacing of the stories throughout, page by page. Amazing stuff. And if you're newer to Love and Rockets, he does have a lot of inspirations from like Harry Lucy, Archie from back in the day, and the old Dennis the Menace comics are two of the things that he really cites as his inspiration. So I always someone that's new to Love and Rockets, I'm like, it's kind of like Archie comics for an adult audience. Like kids that grew up on Archie and they want to keep reading comics, these are the comics for them. Because the characters are deeper and more fleshed out, and there's lots of adult content and adult stories and things in these matters that you wouldn't see in an Archie comic. And then the cartooning is just absolutely magnificent. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun for longtime readers of Love and Rockets to dive in and see these characters and see what Maggie's up to. You'll see some cameos from other characters that I don't want to spoil, but you'll recognize from the early days of Love and Rockets as well. But all built around these new characters. So Tonta is a newer character to the Love and Rockets Locas mythos of Jaime, and you're able to build her within this world around these well-known characters. It's like it's truly like he's built his own universe over 40 years, and it's just magnificent. It's what is missing from Big Two comics, honestly. I always wish that Marvel and DC would have the characters age in real time, and we'd see these characters develop, and you'd have like these older heroes come in and mentor the younger heroes, and you just constantly build out a new cast of characters for a younger audience kind of thing. That's never going to happen for those kind of comics, but it will happen in these single-handedly just built, single-handedly drawn, created, written stories. All of this is done by one hand. Jaime Hernandez does all the pencil, lettering, inking, everything on his own. And when you have that, when you do that, you have the ability to flesh out these characters in the way that you see fit. But yeah, the whole thing is around you're just seeing Tonta grow up, and it's kind of a coming of age story. Seeing her and her sisters interact around her. She has a run-in with Maggie at first, where they kind of have a kerfuffle, and then they kind of bond, and it's kind of this older sister, younger sister kind of bond that's really magnificent, unlike her actual relationships with her true sisters, who has like kind of a tumultuous relationship because of their mother and their parents, and they have a pretty bad upbringing. But just a magnificent story. I can't recommend this enough. Please go out and buy this and check it out if you've never checked out Love and Rockets. And I can't recommend the whole series of Love and Rockets enough. I can't recommend this book enough. Truly a 5 out of 5 book. It's on my list of my favorite things that I've read in 2025 already. We're only in the second month. But I do want to, I should have said this a long time ago. I want to thank Tucker Stone and Fantagraphics for sending me out this review copy of this book. Truly, truly magnificent. And I can't wait to read it again. And I can't wait to dive in and fill out my collection of volumes 2 through 4 of Love and Rockets and piece together these things. But thank you guys for watching. Please drop your comments below. Give the video a thumbs up. All that jazz. Helps me out so much. Helps the channel out so much. And I can't appreciate it enough. Everyone have a great day, great week. And keep talking comics.